welcome to Should I Use This Pokemon in Draft? This is going to be a series answering the question if you should use the Pokemon in Draft or not. I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet, but I'm just going to have fun with it. So today I'm going to start with Dewgong, one of the Pokemon that I personally really like in general, not really to use in Draft League format or battling in general, but I like its design. It's a cute little sea lion Pokemon. So we're going to take a look at what Dewgong has to offer. So right away, let's first take a look at the typing stats and abilities. Dewgong does have decent bulk. It's not amazing, but it is pretty nice. 90, 80, 95 defenses. It also has pretty low attack and speed. Its speed is okay for a defensive Pokemon, but its attack stats leave a lot to be desired at 70 for all three of those for those stats actually. So it's not really a Pokemon that you want to attack with, as there are better options for both water and ice types in the attacking department, generally speaking. So Dewgong is definitely going to want to defend then, or provide some sort of support to the team. Now, the problem with this is that Dewgong's a water type, but it's also an ice type. And water is a very nice defensive type, but ice, unfortunately, only adds one resist to ice type, which isn't a super common type, and usually Pokemon with ice moves have other moves that could hit. It only resists water. It loses its fire resistance. It gains 2 weaknesses to fighting and, of course, to rock, which is going to also make it weak to stealth rock. Now, it is worth noting that Dewgong in particular has thick fat, which means that it is fine taking fire attacks. So that's something to take into consideration. It does resist fire if you decide to run thick fat. However, that means you can't run hydration or ice body. So let's continue going into the defensive department. So right away, water types like Milotic, Suicune, Blastoise, Vaporeon, not only do they generally have better stats to defend with, but they also have better typing, as water is better than water ice in terms of defense. Another thing that really harms Dewgong is its lack of reliable recovery. This is, it doesn't completely lack reliable recovery, but it has semi-reliable recovery, let's put it that way. So one of the most important aspects of a defensive Pokemon is that you want to have longevity. You want to be able to last a while and to take a lot of hits to recover it off. The problem with Dewgong is that it doesn't have recover or any move like that. You have to rely on using rest. Rest isn't too bad for Dewgong because it has hydration, which means that in the rain, it can rest and immediately wake up, curing any status conditions and fully restoring its HP in one turn, no matter where its HP was, whether it was at 1% or 99%. However, there is a problem with this. The main problem is that it requires rain. So you either have to pair Dewgong up with a Rain Dance Pokemon, or a Drizzle Pokemon rather, or you need to teach Dewgong Rain Dance, which takes up a move slot from it. So that could be a problem, because if you're running Rain Dance, you most likely want to sweep with a Swift Swimmer. Or if you're even running defensive Rain Dance, you do have better options. For example, Manaphy has access to hydration and it has 100 base stats all around. So it does defend better. It doesn't have ice typing, which holds it back. And it could hydration in the rain, just like Dewgong. So Dewgong is outclassed as a hydration rain wall. And there's also the fact that if you absolutely, for some reason at this point, want water and ice, a water and ice defensive Pokemon, in almost every way, Dewgong is also outclassed by Lapras. As you can see, Lapras has a way higher HP stat at 130 compared to Dewgong's 90. Lapras has the same defense stat, but with a higher HP stat, and it has the same special defense stat. So it basically has the same defense stats as Dewgong, but with a better HP stat. On top of that, it has 15 more in both attacking stats, being able to hit a little bit harder. It also it has 10 less speed, but if you're using a Pokemon for a defensive role, speed isn't really as important, and the speed difference is pretty minimal. 10 points is something, certainly, but you're probably not wanting to go first all the time anyways. Another thing that sets Lapras apart from Dewgong is its access to a lot more moves. With Lapras, not only do you have most of Dewgong's moves, but you have access to things like Dragon Dance, which gives it some sort of niche in terms of being able to attack. It also has Freeze Dry, which helps its matchup versus other water types. It also has Iron Head. It has Outrage. It has Solar Beam, which if you're powered up by a Z move, it can do some decent damage. It also has Thunder and Thunderbolt. So it has quite a few moves that Dewgong has. So it pretty much has most of what Dewgong has. So as a defensive Water and Ice type, Dewgong is outclassed by Lapras in most circumstances. Dewgong also has a Perish Trap set, which is actually the set that is displayed on Smogon's page with Whirlpool, Perish Song, Rain Dance, and Rest. However, not only can you use Azumarill as a Perish Trapper with similar bulk, better typing, it also has Sap Sipper, which makes it immune to grass moves, as that option as well. It does not have Hydration, but it does have Sap Sipper. So you could come in easier on a grass type, for example, that tries to use Sleep Powder. And it has other attacking options. On top of that, even as a Perish Trapper, Lapras will outclass Dewgong because it has access to Hydration, it has access to Whirlpool, it has access to Perish Song as well, just with better bulk. So for this particular set, you're just better off completely running Lapras instead of Dewgong. So Lapras also outclasses Dewgong as a Perish Trapper. So what does Dewgong have that Lapras doesn't at this point? Well, there are a few things. Dewgong does have access to a few moves that Lapras does not have. These moves that I thought were worth noting, some others that are kind of useless, but these moves are Aqua Jet, Encore, Disable, Belch, Fake Out, Icicle Spear, and Water Sport. Now, it doesn't really have the tools to use all of these moves effectively in the first place, but Encore is definitely one of the ones that stands out to me the most. If, for example, a Pokemon sees Dewgong and thinks it's rather passive and it could set up, Dewgong can use Encore to make it continue to set up, and maybe even trap it then with Perish Song, or switch to a more favorable Pokemon for yourself to go ahead and set up. So I'd say of all the moves listed, Encore is probably the most useful, just in general, that I could think of. Dewgong also has, it is the only Pokemon, aside from Seal, that has access to both Aqua Jet and Ice Shard. Again, off of 70 attack, you're not going to be doing much, but it is technically something that you could use. Let's say if your opponent has a Salamence that is Moxied up and Dragon Danced up and you need to take it out, you could use Ice Shard, and then maybe that same opponent has a super water weak Pokemon like Macargo. This is so hypothetical. You could use Aqua Jet on Macargo. But generally speaking, Dewgong isn't really much of an attacker. So One other thing worthy of note is that Ice Body paired with Leftovers in the middle of Hail does restore a decent amount of HP, especially if you pair it with Protect, but again, it does rely on Hail being active, and generally it just does not beat the effectiveness of a move such as Recover, or even Rest in the Rain with Hydration. So, it's a really, unfortunately, outclassed Pokemon. Let's go over everything. So, in summary, Dewgong is a defensive water and ice type Pokemon whose typing holds it back, mediocre stats hold it back, lack of an offensive presence hold it back, lack of reliable recovery, completely reliable recovery rather, holds it back, reliance on rain holds it back, the fact that it's outclassed by multiple other Pokemon in the defensive roles, in the perish trapping roles, holds it back, and yeah, I'm sorry, Dewgong. So the best thing that I could think of, if you absolutely want to use Dewgong, if you want a defensive water and ice type for a team that is running rain and hail as a mix and wants options for both, that is really cheap, and maybe all the other Pokemon were taken, maybe Lapras was taken, maybe you want an Encore user, unless you absolutely want the ability to use Aqua Jet and Ice Shard on the same set, maybe even Fake Out too, as well as Encore, I personally would not recommend using Dewgong. If you do use Dewgong, you definitely get a lot of cool points, and it is a very cheap Pokemon. It is probably in the lowest tier of whatever league you're playing, or costs the least amount of points. So that's something too, if you want a Perish Trapper and a Azumarill and both Lapras were taken, for example, maybe consider Dewgong. But generally, should you use Dewgong? Unfortunately not. So yeah, that's my review on Dewgong. If you do use Dewgong, or if you disagree with this analysis, please let me know, and maybe Dewgong does have a niche that we don't know about. But generally speaking, Dewgong isn't really too great of a Pokemon. Not really great defensively, not really great offensively, can't deal with other water types like Lapras can, for example, with Freeze Dry, can't really reliably recover outside of rain, weak to Stealth Rock, passive, etc. Maybe sometime in the future Dewgong will get something cool, and then it'll be useful, but for now I do not recommend using Dewgong. So most likely no, you should not use Dewgong in your Gen 7 draft, again, unless you're looking for a defensive water ice type that has access to water and ice priority and Encore for some reason. Well, that's all for this analysis, and thanks for tuning in for Should You Use This in Draft. This is Noel, and I might see you for some more videos later.